You have been told to save your money. It is a lesson taught from a very young age, conventional wisdom passed down through generations. Save for a rainy day. Save for a big purchase. Save to be safe. We are instructed to set aside a portion of every paycheck, tucking it away in a savings account where it can be protected. This advice is offered with the best of intentions, rooted in a desire for security and stability. The act of saving is portrayed as the ultimate sign of financial responsibility, the one true path to a secure future. It is the cornerstone of financial advice given by parents, teachers, and financial advisors. But here is a truth they often forget to mention. Saving alone will never make you wealthy. Following this advice without understanding its limitations might be holding you back from true financial independence. The world has changed dramatically, and the economic rules that governed our parents' generation no longer apply with the same certainty. The simple act of storing money in a bank account is no longer guaranteed for growth. While it feels safe and responsible, it can be passive and counterproductive in today's financial landscape. The promise of security through saving is becoming an illusion. This isn't to say saving is useless. It is absolutely essential as a first step. Having an emergency fund and cash reserve provides a safety net, protecting you from unexpected events and giving you a foundation of stability. Without savings, you are financially vulnerable. However, we've been conditioned to see saving as the end goal, not the starting point. We've been taught the discipline of accumulation, but not the strategy of multiplication. The popular narrative stops right after save your money, leaving out the most critical part for long-term prosperity. This essay will challenge that outdated belief. It will explore the fundamental difference between putting money aside and actively building wealth. We will delve into why the traditional advice to save is no longer sufficient for anyone who wants more than basic security. If you dream of financial freedom, of having options, and living a life not dictated by trading time for money, you must look beyond the piggy bank. You need to understand how to make your money work for you, not just store it safely. It is time to uncover the truth. Our parents and grandparents lived in a different economic era. For them, saving was indeed sound advice. They experienced a time when a steady job, a pension, and a savings account could pave the way to a comfortable retirement. In that world, diligent saving was reliable. The economy was more predictable, and costs didn't outpace wage growth so aggressively. Their advice was born from their reality, when financial institutions rewarded savers and the path to security was clearer. They taught us what worked for them, hoping to give us the same stability. However, we are navigating a completely new economic reality. Today's world is defined by historically low interest rates, persistent inflation, and rapidly rising costs for housing, education, and healthcare. The very ground beneath our financial feet has shifted. The money you place in a savings account today earns next to nothing. When you factor in inflation, which erodes purchasing power, your saved money is losing value over time. It is a quiet loss, one you might not notice, but it is happening nonetheless. Saving is no longer a slow climb. It is a battle against a current pulling you backward. This is why we must draw a clear line between saving and building wealth. Saving is about preservation over the short term. It is about setting money aside for emergencies or near-future goals. Building wealth is about growth over the long term. It involves deploying your capital into assets that generate more money. This is where your money starts working for you, growing through investments in stocks, real estate, or business ventures. Wealth creation is an active pursuit, not a passive one. To achieve financial freedom, the kind that gives you options, control over your time, and life on your terms, you must adopt a new mindset. It requires moving beyond the lessons of the past and embracing strategies for the present and future. This essay will serve as your guide. We will break down why saving is not enough, what building wealth entails, and practical steps to transition from saver to wealth builder. The journey begins with understanding this crucial distinction. To truly understand why the mantra of save your money became so deeply embedded, we must step back in time. For our parents' and grandparents' generations, the economic landscape was fundamentally different. creating what could be called a golden age for the diligent saver. In the mid to late 20th century, financial systems were structured in a way that actively rewarded those who put money aside. Banks offered savings accounts with high-yield interest rates that often outpaced the rate of inflation. This meant that money sitting in a bank was not just safe, it was actively growing its purchasing power, steadily increasing year after year. It was a simple, powerful formula for progress. In that era, economic stability was more attainable through conventional means. The social contract was clearer: work hard for a single company, and you would be rewarded with a secure job for life, complete with a defined benefit pension plan that guaranteed a steady income in retirement. The cost of living, while always a concern, did not escalate with the same relentless velocity we see today. Major life milestones like buying a home, paying for a college education, or covering healthcare costs were within reach for a middle-class family that practiced financial prudence. Saving was not just good advice, it was a proven and reliable strategy for upward mobility and a comfortable life. The advice to save was therefore born from a lived reality where it worked effectively. Our parents saw tangible results from their discipline. They watched their savings accounts grow, providing the capital for a down payment on a house or the funds to see their children through university. They experienced a world where the relationship between effort and reward was more direct and predictable. The idea of taking significant risks in the stock market seemed unnecessary, even reckless, when a simple savings account offered a safe and respectable return. Their wisdom was forged in an environment of economic optimism and structural support for the average worker and saver. This context is crucial because it explains why the advice was passed down with such conviction. It was not a myth or a misunderstanding, it was a time-tested truth for their generation. They were not teaching us a flawed principle, but rather sharing a strategy that had successfully secured their own futures. The problem is not with the advice itself, but with its application in a world that has undergone a radical transformation. The economic pillars that supported the savers' golden age, high interest rates, stable careers with pensions and manageable inflation, have largely crumbled, leaving us with a new and far more complex set of rules to navigate. Or, beyond the favorable economic conditions, the act of saving was championed because it instilled fundamental values of discipline and foresight. The habit of consistently setting aside a portion of one's income is, at its core, an exercise in delayed gratification. It teaches you to prioritize your future self over your present desires, a cornerstone of responsible adult life. This discipline is a powerful tool, fostering a sense of control over one's financial destiny. Learning to live within your means and pay yourself first by saving creates a psychological buffer against the anxieties of financial instability. It is a practice that builds character as much as it builds a bank balance. This foundational discipline is what gives a person options. When you have a savings cushion, you are not trapped in a job you despise or forced to make desperate decisions out of financial necessity. An unexpected car repair, a medical bill, or a sudden job loss becomes a manageable inconvenience rather than a full-blown crisis that could derail your life. Saving provides a platform of stability from which you can make clearer, more rational choices. It gives you the breathing room to think about your next move, whether that is finding a better job, starting a business, or investing in your education. In this way, saving was and still is about creating personal freedom and resilience. Furthermore, the act of saving was the first and most accessible step on the ladder of financial literacy. It is a simple concept to grasp and put into practice, regardless of your income level or background. Before one can comprehend the complexities of investing in stocks, bonds, or real estate, one must first master the basic principle of spending less than one earns. Saving is the gateway to a more sophisticated financial education. It forces you to engage with your money, to track where it goes, and to think intentionally about your financial goals. This initial engagement is what sparks the curiosity to learn more and to seek out better ways to manage and grow your resources. Therefore, the wisdom our parents shared was not just about accumulating cash in an account. It was about building a solid foundation for a secure and well-managed life. They were teaching us the importance of self-restraint, long-term planning, and the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. These lessons remain as relevant and critical today as they were 50 years ago. The issue is that in today's world, this foundation is no longer the entire structure. It is the essential starting block, but it is not the finish line. The discipline and stability that saving provides are the necessary prerequisites for the next, more active stage building wealth. The most significant and often misunderstood limit of saving is a powerful, invisible force known as inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and yet, as a result, the purchasing power of currency is falling. So think of it as a silent thief that creeps into your savings account and slowly, methodically steals the value of your hard-earned money. While your account balance might stay the same or grow by a tiny fraction, its ability to buy things in the real world just diminishes each and every day. This is the harsh reality that every saver in the modern economy has to confront, a constant headwind pushing against their financial progress. Let's consider a simple, practical example to illustrate this point. Imagine you diligently save $10,000 and place it in a standard savings account. You feel responsible and secure, knowing that money is set aside for the future. However, if the annual inflation rate is 3%, by the end of 1 year, your $10,000 will only have the purchasing power of about $9,700. You haven't spent a single dollar, yet you have lost $300 in real-world value. Over a decade, this effect compounds dramatically, severely eroding the wealth you thought you were protecting. Saving, in this context, becomes a losing game where you're running on a treadmill, working hard just to stay in the same place. This erosion of purchasing power isn't just some theoretical concept. It impacts every aspect of our lives. The cost of groceries, fuel, housing, and utilities all tend to rise over time due to inflation. The money you're saving today is intended to pay for these very things in the future. If your savings aren't growing at a rate that is at least equal to, and preferably greater than, the rate of inflation, you're effectively becoming poorer over time. You are saving for a future that will be more expensive, with money that is becoming less powerful. This fundamental mismatch is the primary reason why saving alone is an insufficient strategy for long-term financial security. Our parents' generation did not face this challenge with the same intensity. While inflation existed, it was often offset by higher interest rates on savings accounts. Today, that balance has been completely upended. Savers are now exposed to the full, corrosive effect of inflation, with almost no protection offered by traditional banking products. To truly secure your future, you can't simply shield your money. You have to find ways to make it grow faster than its value is being eroded. This requires moving beyond the passive act of saving and into the active process of investing, where the potential for returns can outpace the silent thief of inflation. And today's savings accounts offer interest rates so low, they're almost meaningless. What once felt like a fair exchange, your money for a decent return, has vanished. Now, your savings barely grow, while inflation quietly erodes their value. The illusion of safety in a savings account is just that, an illusion. Banks use your deposits to earn much higher returns for themselves, while your money sits idle. In this environment, not investing is riskier than investing. Keeping cash guarantees you'll lose ground over time. The old strategy of passive saving no longer works. To stay ahead, your money must be put to work, actively growing, not just sitting still. The era of earning from savings is over. Now, you must become an active investor. Major life expenses, homes, education, healthcare, are rising much faster than wages. Saving alone can't keep up. It's like pouring water into a bucket with a growing hole. Home ownership, once achievable in a few years, now takes decades of saving, if it's possible at all. By the time you save enough, prices have already jumped again. The same goes for education and healthcare, where costs can wipe out years of savings in an instant. A savings-only approach is linear, but today's costs grow exponentially. Only investing offers the compounding growth needed to outpace these rising expenses. To build real financial security, you must move beyond saving and embrace wealth creation. Your plan must be as dynamic as the challenges you face. Saving stores money, building wealth puts it to work. The key is to own assets that generate income and grow in value. So your dollars work for you, not the other way around. Imagine two people. One saves, the other invests. After a decade, the investor's money has grown and multiplied, while the saver's has barely kept up. Wealth builders create multiple income streams: rent, dividends, business profits, not just wages. This means your financial security isn't tied to your next paycheck. Each dollar becomes a seed, growing into a tree of future wealth. The question shifts from how much can I save to how can I make my money grow? Strategic investing is the engine of financial independence. Your assets, not your labor, become your greatest source of strength. That's the path to true financial freedom. Wealth is built by owning productive assets: stocks, real estate, and businesses. Stocks let you own a piece of growing companies or the entire market through index funds. Real estate offers appreciation and rental income, turning housing costs into wealth. Entrepreneurship creates assets from scratch with uncapped growth potential. These vehicles generate income and grow in value, unlike idle cash. The goal isn't to bet everything on one, but to diversify across assets that fit your goals and risk tolerance. Productive assets work for you, compounding your wealth over time. A robust portfolio is built on growth, not just protection. Understanding these vehicles is the first step to real prosperity. Move from saving to strategic ownership and watch your wealth grow. The real magic of wealth is compound growth, earning returns on your returns. Compounding turns small, consistent investments into exponential growth over time. For example, a $10,000 investment earning 10% a year grows much faster each year, thanks to reinvested gains. The earlier you start, the more powerful compounding becomes. Delaying investing means missing out on years of exponential growth. Building wealth isn't about quick wins. It's about patience and consistency. Savings accounts offer no such engine. They're just storage. Investments, on the other hand, are dynamic and ever-growing. Harnessing compounding is the final step to shift from protecting money to growing it. Let your money work harder than you do. Nice. Building true, lasting wealth begins not with a financial transaction, but with a profound internal shift in your mindset. The saver's mentality is often rooted in scarcity. It's a defensive posture, focused on what could go wrong: job loss, unexpected expenses, or economic downturns. This mindset leads to decisions based on fear and limitation. The central questions are: how can I cut more costs? How can I protect what I have? While prudence is valuable, a scarcity mindset keeps you playing defensive, constantly preventing loss rather than pursuing gain. It prioritizes hoarding resources over growing them, creating a psychological ceiling on your financial potential. The wealth mindset, in contrast, operates from abundance and opportunity. It acknowledges risks, but isn't defined by them. Instead, it focuses on potential for growth, expansion, and creation. A wealth mindset asks different questions. How can I create more value? How can this money generate even more money? This is a proactive, offensive strategy. It sees the world not as limited resources to guard, but as opportunities to build, invest, and multiply. This shift from fear to opportunity is the foundational pillar of all significant wealth. This shift also changes your relationship with money. The scarcity mindset views money as finite, something to accumulate and hold tightly. It's a source of anxiety, its absence a constant threat. The abundance mindset sees money as a tool, a form of energy that creates positive outcomes. It's a renewable resource generated through creativity, strategic thinking, and providing value to others. This reduces financial anxiety and empowers bolder, more strategic decisions, viewing investments not as losing cash, but converting capital into productive form. Ultimately, the wealth mindset transforms your core beliefs about what's possible. It means moving beyond not being poor and embracing becoming financially free. This involves focusing on opportunities over obstacles and prioritizing growth over comfort and safety. It's seeing possibilities where others see problems. Understanding your financial future isn't something that happens to you, but something you create through your thoughts, habits, and strategic actions. The journey to wealth is internal first before manifesting externally. A tangible and powerful manifestation of the wealth mindset is the deliberate shift from being a lifelong consumer to becoming an owner. The consumer mindset is, honestly, kind of the default setting in our modern society. We are constantly encouraged to spend money to acquire things that depreciate in value. The latest gadgets, fast fashion, new cars, and other liabilities that drain our financial resources. A consumer's cash flow is a one-way street. Money comes in from a job and flows out to corporations, never to return. This cycle just keeps individuals financially dependent, perpetually trading their time for money simply to fund a lifestyle of consumption. It's a treadmill that ensures you work for your money, but your money never works for you. The wealth mindset flips this dynamic entirely. Instead of primarily consuming, a wealth builder focuses on acquiring. They consciously direct their capital away from depreciating liabilities and toward appreciating assets. When faced with a financial decision, they ask themselves, will this purchase make me richer or poorer in the long run? This simple question reframes the entire purpose of money. Instead of buying the latest smartphone, they might buy shares in the company that makes the phone. Instead of spending on fleeting entertainment, they invest in an asset that can generate passive income for years to come. They transform themselves from being a customer of the economy to being an owner of it. This owner's mentality really extends to every facet of life. It's about recognizing that your skills, knowledge, and time are also valuable assets. Instead of just renting your time to an employer for a salary, you might think about how to build equity in a business or create intellectual property that can generate income independently of your direct labor. This could mean starting a side business, developing a marketable skill, or creating content that provides value. You begin to see your own life and career as a business that you are the CEO of, with the goal of increasing its long-term enterprise value, not just its weekly paycheck. Ultimately, this transition from consumer to owner is about playing the game of money differently. It's a conscious choice to delay immediate gratification for the sake of long-term freedom and prosperity. It requires discipline and a long-term perspective, but the rewards are honestly transformative. By consistently choosing ownership over consumption, you gradually build a portfolio of assets that works for you around the clock. Your financial security becomes rooted not in your ability to earn, but in your ability to own. This is the practical application of the wealth mindset and the most direct path to breaking the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and building a life of true financial independence. The journey from being a dedicated saver to a strategic wealth builder does not require you to abandon the principles of saving entirely. Instead, it begins by channeling that discipline into a more focused and effective foundation. The very first actionable step on your wealth journey is to build a robust emergency fund. This is not your investment capital, it is your financial firewall. The purpose of this fund is to cover 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses: your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, and transportation. This cash reserve should be kept in a liquid, easily accessible, high-yield savings account, separate from your other funds, protecting you from life's inevitable surprises without forcing you to derail your long-term investment strategy. Having this safety net in place is psychologically and strategically crucial. It is the buffer that gives you the confidence to take calculated risks with your other capital. Without an emergency fund, any unexpected event, such as a job loss or a medical issue, could force you to sell your investments at an inopportune time, potentially locking in losses and setting you back years. By securing your immediate needs first, you create a stable platform from which you can invest with a clear mind and a long-term perspective. This single step transforms saving from a passive, all-encompassing goal into a targeted tool for risk management, which is the true first step of any intelligent wealth-building plan. Once your emergency fund is established, the next foundational step is to aggressively tackle and eliminate high-interest debt. Debts from credit cards or personal loans often carry interest rates of 20% or more. Paying off this type of debt provides a guaranteed, risk-free return on your money equal to the interest rate. No investment in the stock market can reliably promise such a high, guaranteed return. Carrying high-interest debt while trying to invest is like trying to drive a car with the emergency brake engaged. The interest you are paying out actively cancels out and often exceeds the gains you are trying to make, creating a significant drag on your financial progress. Therefore, before you fully activate your wealth-building engine, you must first plug the holes that are draining your financial resources. Create a clear plan to systematically pay down these liabilities, starting with the debt that has the highest interest rate. This process requires the same discipline and focus as saving, but it yields a far more powerful result by freeing up your future cash flow. Once you are free from the burden of high-interest debt and have your emergency fund in place, you will have built a solid, unshakable foundation. You are then truly ready to shift your focus from defense to offense and begin the exciting process of actively building your wealth. With your financial foundation secure, it is time to activate the engine of wealth creation investing. The key is to start immediately, even if the amount seems small. The power of compounding means that time is your most valuable asset, so do not wait for the perfect moment or a larger sum of money. Start today. Open a brokerage account and begin making consistent automatic contributions. Even an investment of just $50 or $100 per month can grow into a substantial amount over time. The habit of consistent investing is far more important than the initial amount. This action signals a definitive shift from being a passive saver to an active participant in the growth of the economy. For most beginners, the simplest and most effective way to start investing is through low-cost broad market index funds or exchange-traded funds, ETFs. These instruments allow you to buy a small piece of hundreds or even thousands of companies in a single transaction, providing instant diversification and spreading your risk. Rather than trying to pick individual winning stocks, you are betting on the long-term growth of the market as a whole. This strategy, championed by legendary investors like Warren Buffett, is a proven, reliable, and low-effort way to build wealth over time. Set up automatic investments into these funds every month, and let the market do the heavy lifting for you. Parallel to starting your investment journey, you must commit to continuous financial education. Building wealth is not a one-time decision. It is an ongoing process of learning and adaptation. Dedicate time each week to increasing your financial literacy. Read books on investing and personal finance, listen to reputable financial podcasts, and follow knowledgeable experts who break down complex topics into understandable concepts. The more you learn, the more confident you will become in your decisions. You will begin to understand different asset classes, learn about risk management, and discover new opportunities. Wealthy people never stop learning, and they view knowledge as their greatest investment. Finally, as your income and knowledge grow, begin to think beyond just the stock market. Explore other vehicles of wealth creation that align with your interests and goals. This could mean saving for a down payment on your first rental property to generate passive income. It could involve starting a small side business to turn a skill or passion into a new stream of revenue. The goal is to build a diversified portfolio of income-producing assets. By consistently investing in your portfolio and your knowledge, you transition from simply having a job that pays you to building a system that pays you. This is the true path to lasting wealth and financial freedom. We began this discussion by challenging a piece of conventional wisdom that has been passed down for generations. The idea that saving your money is the primary path to financial security. We have deconstructed this belief, not to discredit the virtue of saving, but to place it in its proper context. Saving is not the end goal, it is the essential, non-negotiable first step. It is the discipline that allows you to build a foundation, to create a safety net that protects you from the immediate storms of life. It provides the stability and peace of mind necessary to think beyond mere survival. Saving is the launch pad, but it is not the rocket ship. The truth we have uncovered is that in today's economic reality, a world of persistent inflation and stagnant interest rates, saving alone is a strategy for standing still. It is a passive act in a world that rewards proactive creation. To achieve genuine financial freedom, a life of choice, opportunity, and independence, you must look beyond the launch pad and embrace the journey of building wealth. This requires a fundamental shift in your mindset, moving from a perspective of scarcity and fear to one of abundance and opportunity. It means transforming yourself from a passive consumer into an active owner of income-producing assets that work for you. The path forward is clear. First, you build your foundation with an emergency fund and the elimination of high-interest debt. Then you activate your wealth engine by consistently investing your capital, no matter how small the initial amount, into assets like low-cost index funds. You commit to a lifetime of learning, continuously expanding your financial knowledge so you can make smarter decisions and identify new opportunities, whether in real estate, business, or other ventures. You harness the incredible power of compound growth, allowing time and consistency to become your greatest allies in building a future of prosperity and resilience. This is your call to action. Do not let the old narrative hold you back. Your financial destiny is not something to be passively waited for. It is something to be actively and intentionally built, decision by decision, investment by investment. The journey from saver to wealth builder is the most important economic transition you will make in your lifetime. Saving is your starting line, but building wealth, that is the lifelong journey to true freedom. Start that journey today and build the life you truly deserve.